Hi, women. My name's Karma, and welcome back to season 3 of the Free Birthing in Color movement. This is a space to hear the stories of women of color and Indigenous women sharing their experiences of living, working, and birthing in their power. If you feel like you have a story to share and would like to have your words and your voice amplified within this movement, please reach out to me. All information about submitting your story can be found within the show notes below or on the Free Birthing in Color Instagram page. The Instagram handle is at freebirthing_in color. Just send me a DM or find the submission forms within the profile. I look forward to hearing from you and making space for your experiences to be witnessed. And now I'm extremely grateful to have shared time and energy with our next guest. Here is her story. Hello, Jennifer. Welcome back to the Free Birthing in Color movement. We have had some technical difficulties. I've had some of my own technical difficulties, but we are here now, and I am so excited to hear your story.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, I just want to preface this because I'm prefacing it in the right way this time around, whereas the first time I was talking completely crazy and about somebody in an interview that hadn't even happened yet. But I'm very excited to share this story because you are a first-time mother birthing free of the system, and these ones are always, they just touch such a part of my heart that makes me just so enlivened and so they're just so exciting to me because you're a mother that is making this choice for yourself and your baby the first go round. You're not testing out birth. You're not, seeing if the hospital or if, whatever medical way is going to be good enough for you on the first time. You trust your instincts the first time. So I'm very excited to hear you get into the story when we get into it.
Yes, yes. Thank you. I'm
Mm-hmm.
excited as well.
Yay. Okay, so the first question I want to ask you is what is the ancestry and lineage that you're passing down to your daughter?
Yes. My mother was born in the Dominican Republic, and my father was born in Puerto Rico. So, and then my child's father, he is African American, but he also has like some indigenous Indian roots as well.
Mhm.
So I'm super excited to be passing down this diverse plethora of just a mesh of cultures. I
Mhm.
think she's going to be very empathetic to other people, um, and just more open, more
Mhm.
aware, um, and just more conscious of life. I think that most people that are born in America specifically, they're very, especially if they haven't traveled or they don't have anything, um, any type of like cultural stimulation outside of themselves.
Mhm.
It tends to be very Eurocentric
Mhm.
and just very close minded. And I'm grateful to be able to offer like the complete opposite to my daughter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. Thank you so much. So, the next question I would love to ask you is where does your motherhood journey begin?
Yes. I want to say my motherhood journey originally started when I was a child, having Caribbean parents and just mostly being raised by women because my father wasn't around often. Um, we were just kind of groomed and taught, like, hey, you need to learn all of these homestead skills and all of these domestication skills to uphold a family. There was no sense of identity, like, or individualism, which is
Mhm.
extremely important to me. Um, I am the complete opposite. I need my freedom, I need my individuality, and then I need to be able to pour into a communal space.
Mhm.
So I want to, I uh, I feel like it definitely my motherhood journey started when I was a child, and it
Mhm.
kind of like grew and developed more into this energy, I would say, where like I was always the mother in the friend group. I was
Mhm.
extremely protective. Like, I was taught if you drop off your friend in their home, you wait until they go inside to pull
Mhm.
off, like I was just very nuanced things where it was like I was very particular. Like
Mhm.
if my friends and I were walking, if it were dark, I'm like, okay, guys, you're gonna walk on the inside of the sidewalk. I'm gonna walk on the outside. If something crazy happens, I can fight them off, but I need y'all to come back for me.
Mhm.
so I would say that it kind of just evolved throughout that, but it was definitely developed in my childhood.
Mhm.
Um, and then when I conceived my daughter, that's kind of where I had this epiphany. And I was like, oh my goodness, I'm being initiated into motherhood.
Mhm.
And this is not a game.
Mm.
So I um I just really thrusted myself full like head first into this role, and I was able to be supported. Most of my 20s were just me like living wild and reckless and
Mm.
very nomadic, um, very liberated, just not responsible at all. Like I had no cares in the world
Yeah.
outside of like, where are we going? What am I doing?
Yeah.
And who's going to be there? So, I definitely sought out like therapy because I wanted to ensure that I was mentally prepared.
Mm.
It was very important for me to not have um, these unevolved versions of myself bleed into this very like permanent um, integrative role. It's
Mm.
not like you pick and choose when you want to be a mom. Once
Yeah.
you're a mother, you're always a mother, you know. And yeah.
Wow. Okay. So then, do you want to get into the journey of kind of right before you got pregnant and then finding out that you were pregnant and what that was like for you? Because you held that type of, mothering energy from your younger years and holding that into your, like, as the mother of the friend group, and then you had this very liberating, free, fun, time in your 20s. So yeah, what was it then like to go from being that fun, free flowing woman to then being like, oh, and now we're pregnant? And it's like, it's not just the mothering energy, but it's like now you are a mother.
Right. So that transition was like really hard for me.
Mm.
Um, I had to kind of reevaluate and reestablish what my identity was.
Mm.
So before I became a mother, um, being extremely free flowing and just living and flowing through life,
Mm-hmm.
it was really hard for me to maintain a job. Um, it was very hard for me to maintain any form of like consistency or something that would require um I guess like commitment out of me. I would think that's the appropriate word. um I wasn't really able to commit to much. I was the kind of person like, I'm here when I'm here, when I'm not
Mm.
here, don't call me. Especially if it was a job, I was like, oh, please don't call me on my off days. I'm not answering. I'm not answering. I'm off. So taking that and then like transitioning into motherhood. Um, hey, mama, give me just a second.
Yeah, no worries. Aw, hello, cutie.
Say hi, mama.
Hi. Aw.
Okay. I think energetically she wanted to be present. She was
Mm.
sleeping and she just woke up
Okay.
out of nowhere.
Okay.
Yeah, so my mom just came back and they were out and she was like, she was asleep throughout the entire outing. I don't know why she's up now. I'm like, oh, she just wants to be present. Uh,
Yeah.
so I think that's a beautiful indication of just her energy.
Mhm.
She is extremely observant and
Mm.
curious about life,
Okay.
inquisitive,
Yeah.
you know. Um, she's very talkative when she wants to be,
Okay,
you
yeah.
know. So even now, she's kind of like, "Oh, I'm here." Uh, so I forgot where I was at, but I think I was alluding to um,
You're speaking kind
just
of.
it being like vastly different.
And like how you didn't have any commitments, that wasn't quite important because you were just so free flowing in your life at the times.
Yes, yes. So I had been to therapy prior, Um, and I always felt like there was something that wasn't properly addressed. I just didn't know what it was.
Mm.
Um, so when I became a mom, it was really, really important for me to like figure that out. And I was like,
Okay.
I've got 9 months to turn my life around, and
Yeah.
I cannot afford not to know what's going on. So I sought out a therapy, and when I went, I was 8 months pregnant. Um, I decided I usually have always had a female therapist, but I decided to have like a male therapist, which was really huge for me. Um, I think that speaks volumes to just like my mm, my ability to open up parts of myself that I was
Mm.
just like closed off to. I was like,
Mm.
I am going to be a single mother. I know this.
Mm.
So I need like a healthy male perspective that is
Um,
untainted and that is unbiased,
yeah.
and that is a healthy connection.
Right.
So my therapist, asked me a couple questions. I gave him a couple scenarios about things that I thought was kind of different. Like friends and family would say, like, yeah, she definitely made like an odd choice in this regard.
Hmm.
Things that I just did differently. And it was there where he expressed to me that I may have like a dual diagnosis. So um, I had been diagnosed with like your typical anxiety, seasonal depression, and PTSD, but a dual diagnosis is basically when you have another underlying condition and like the symptoms kind of bleed into one another. So it's really hard to pick what exactly is showing up at that particular time.
Okay.
So, due to different like examples that I was able to provide, it was expressed to me then like, hey, you may have a condition called borderline personality disorder, which is on the spectrum of bipolar disorder. It's just not as severe.
Okay.
It's usually triggered by like feelings of abandonment, um, neglect, um, and it comes from just having like a really troubled childhood.
Hmm.
Um, Usually, if there's like a mixture of different kinds or forms of abuse, it's developed and it's like a coping mechanism. So,
Right.
if you're emotionally neglected, but you have the ability to be empathetic to the point where, you know, in a way it's supernatural because, the
Hmm.
DSM-5 or whatever thinks that it's a condition, then and even in the spiritual community, right, they would call that a gift. Like those are your shamans.
Right.
The mentally disturbed people, they're your shamans. They're people that
Hmm.
are able to tap into different realms, um, kind of alchemize different energies, be able to transmute different things. So
Hmm.
um, when that was expressed to me, I kind of like cried. There was a sense of relief.
Mm.
And then there was like a sense of fear because I kind of always knew something was off. I just didn't know what it was.
Right.
And then being provided with this language and verbiage, I'm able to identify, like, oh, this is the elephant in the room. Now I
Hmm.
can manage and navigate things a little different
Yeah.
versus kind of just being blindsided, um, and like a slave to my emotions, essentially.
Yeah.
Um, but I have the ability to feel things deeply.
Okay.
It makes me extremely empathetic and compassionate, um, as well as relentless in
Hmm.
whatever pursuits that I'm on. I'm like, oh no, I'm determined,
Hmm.
which is, borderline delusional, but I'm like, oh no, I am determined.
Hmm.
And this is going to happen. And I don't care what anybody says, it's going to happen because I say it's going to happen and I'm going
Yeah.
to make it happen.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how I carried myself throughout my early 20s. So, with that being addressed, it kind of helped um, reshape and reframe
Hmm.
the energy that I'm putting into motherhood because now I'm aware that,
Hmm.
like, hey, there are things that may attempt to derail me, but
Mm.
my entire goal and purpose in this walk and in this journey is to remain mindful and aware.
Yeah.
As long as I'm aware and as long as I'm being mindful, like um I'm not going to have like the emotions be the demise of me,
Right.
um
Yeah.
'cause it's a gift and a curse, the ability to feel and feel things deeply,
Mm.
you know.
Yeah. Oh,
You
giving you
know,
nice cuddles.
I know.
She's so
She's
cute.
so sweet when she wants to be.
Aw. So I have, thank you for sharing all of that because that's,
Absolutely.
yeah, I'm sure, finally, as you said, having clarity of the way that you're feeling and being able to put language to what is happening to you internally must have been, yeah, totally a relief, especially going into this other bigger transformation of motherhood. Um, but what was your pregnancy journey then like for you? Because you said you didn't get this understanding with the therapist until later in your pregnancy. So what was it like then, still kind of, not quite having those words as you were moving through that pregnancy journey? And what was your pregnancy journey even like?
So my pregnancy itself was it was very easy. You know,
Mm,
she wasn't too difficult. I threw up one time, and it's because I mixed two teas together. I don't
mm.
think she liked that very much. I didn't have any weird cravings. Um, so that aspect of it was fine. It was more so life that was
Mm,
very difficult. So life made the transition to pregnancy and motherhood like more refining.
right.
um it was almost like every single step of the way I met with this new challenge.
Mm,
um I remember finding out I was pregnant at the 6-week mark,
okay.
and I cried, and they were not happy tears. They were not happy tears at all, because I was just like, I'm not ready. I have to figure out, who her father is, because at the time, in full, you know, moment of clarity and authenticity and just transparency, my vice of choice was more so like just having reckless sex. So like I
Mm,
would just hook up with people and just be free and liberated and no cares in the world. So I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm
mm,
trying to do the math. I'm like, okay, and I'm like, this is going to be hard. This
mm-hmm.
is going to be really hard. Um, I remember just, um, I remember coming to terms with like, okay, what if I explore different options?
Mm-hmm.
So I reached out to one of her potential fathers, and I was like, hey, you know, typical thing. This is such and such. We were
Mm-hmm.
together during this window.
Yeah.
I'm this many weeks pregnant. I'm not pinning this child on anybody, but I do ask that if you are my child's father, that you be a present father and just be emotionally supportive during this journey.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and, we can co parent. I was fine with co parenting. I was like, it's commitment, but it's not too much of
Mm-hmm.
a commitment. I was like, I can
Yeah.
deal with you part time, not full time. Like,
Yeah.
I can do that. So this particular individual, he did not want to be a parent at all.
Mm,
And he was just very firm with not being involved whatsoever. I remember there was a point in time where he basically said, like, if this isn't about, um, aborting the child, I don't want to speak to you. I don't want to continue talking to you.
oh my
And
gosh.
I just remember thinking, like, how do you want to abort a baby that you're not claiming, you're denying
Yeah.
your relation to this child, but you want to abort? Like, make that make
Yeah.
sense,
Yeah.
you know?
Wow.
So, um, cuarto. So I was just, I kind of buckled down, and I didn't care how evil or
Mm,
mean or crazy or psycho I appeared. I was like, no,
mm,
you're, I need a swab of your spit
mm.
and we can end it there. Like,
Yeah, totally.
it's completely fine with me, but I'm not doing this for you. I could care less,
Mm-hmm.
respectfully so.
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing this for the sake of my child, because I'm
Yeah.
not going to wait until, she's older and then she has the language and the verbiage and the curiosity to ask questions and not
Yeah.
have them for her, like not have
Yeah.
the answers. That it is my duty as her mother to
Mm-hmm.
be able to provide that clarity for her.
Yeah.
And then the other potential father, he already had children.
Okay.
So And he was an acquaintance, so I kind of was a lot more lenient with him. He seemed dismissive, but like cooperative.
Mhm.
So I just, she's like, no, 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 no. It was playing you, mom. Um, so, he seemed, cooperative, and I was a lot more lenient and flexible with him.
Mhm.
And towards the end of my pregnancy, now my child is born. She's here, and the gentleman who wanted to abort her, ironically, he ended up just cooperative towards the end. And the one that I was more lenient with, and I was just kind of like overcompensating for,
Yeah.
you want to eat, mama? Yeah, let's get you. Hmm, okay. So he was the one I was more lenient with. He ended up not cooperating at all. So he kind of
Okay.
just eventually just led me on throughout that
Mm.
entire experience. He already
Okay.
had other children
Mhm.
um, prior to my daughter, and I was just left very confused and disappointed and kind of like angry about that situation.
Yeah.
Um, so transitioning into all of that and taking all of these factors in, um, it was just really, life was just super hard. Um, I was experiencing housing instability. I was working, but then I was getting like fired from jobs because I was like super pregnant and always tired, and I
Mhm.
couldn't just keep up with the demands of the jobs.
Mhm.
Um, I remember being 7 months pregnant, and I had, I remember Spirit, the Most High, told me like, at your third trimester, you're not working. Like
Mhm.
I don't know what you're gonna do, but you're not working. And I'm like, okay. And literally, I kid you not, I got fired the day that I turned 7 months pregnant,
Oh,
which was the
wow.
beginning of my third trimester.
Mhm.
And I remember a week before I got fired, there was an incident on the job where like a shelving in the back of the restaurant, it like literally like the screws unhinged from the wall, it fell, hit my head, and like I literally slipped. I could have fallen and hit my stomach, like
Oh,
crazy, like
wow.
crazy, crazy, crazy. I remember being going to, I found out I was pregnant, and then I remember the day before my 26th birthday, I was at another job, I was walking from my workplace, and we were going on break with a coworker.
Yeah.
Me and my coworker are walking, um, and we're in a very historical place in Atlanta. And I remember walking, and I looked at this truck because they were coming out of a drive-through, and this is still a sidewalk. And I
Mhm.
remember thinking, like, that truck is gonna hit us. And I'm like, but there's no way. Like, there's no way this truck is gonna hit us. Like, there's no way. I
Mm.
kid you not. I remember, the driver, he looked to the left, he looked to the right, and
Yeah.
I'm thinking he saw us. So I'm walking. And
Yeah.
as literally as I'm walking in front of him, he hits me with his truck. And I
No.
kid you not, I promise you on everything that I love, had I not had that like premonition of this truck is going to hit us, I
Yeah.
wouldn't have been able to brace myself for the impact. So like
Mm.
I innately kind of just like,
Yeah.
shook my stomach in and stuff. And
Yeah.
it's like, had I not done that, she wouldn't have been here. Like
Right.
it's a big truck and it's not moving fast, but it's moving fast enough for a baby that small.
Oh,
You know?
totally. Yeah.
So I remember falling, and like I landed on my bottom, and
Mm.
like I came out of my shoes like they do in the cartoons. I was so
No
upset.
way.
I promise you.
Oh my
I
gosh.
have a witness. My old coworker, he was there, and I remember him saying to me like, "Jennifer, I literally had the same feeling. Like the truck was gonna hit us, but I thought it was gonna hit me. Like I didn't even think about
Wow.
you and the baby." And I was just like, "What the fuck?" Like, all of these things, and having to do it all by myself, like,
Yeah.
not having that emotional support from like a masculine presence.
Mhm.
I'm so grateful for all of my guy friends. They're very slim and few, but
Mm.
they were all so impactful and imperative in my journey,
Yeah.
because they helped kind of like keep that edge off of developing and harboring bitterness.
Right.
Um, I
Okay.
didn't want to, um, I didn't want to kind of have this like negative um, connotation to men.
Mm.
Water, and the fact that like I was blessed to be a girl mom, because
Mm-hmm.
I was a boy the whole time. And I think, Spirit knew what Spirit was doing,
Yes.
because it made me like question just how I was mothered, my fatherhood wounds, my mother wounds, and having to like heal that. It's
Mm-hmm.
almost like I went through like, I don't know how to call it. I would say maybe like a hero's journey. Like
Okay.
if
Yeah.
you were to take high dosages and like I feel
Yeah.
like I went through like years of therapy within like months.
Yeah.
It was like, oh yeah, we're healing all of this. It was like expedited. Um,
Wow.
things that I just wasn't even like cognizant of,
Mm-hmm.
just kept coming back. And yeah, I think that the pregnancy itself was like smooth, but
Mm-hmm.
it was just all of life,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
all of
Really.
life.
Yeah.
Not having proper health insurance,
Mm.
um, not having that experience because I went to the OBGYN and um, because they approved me, but they approved me for the wrong health insurance. My pregnancy wasn't covered medically.
Mm.
So
Oh
I would have
wow.
to pay out of pocket. I'm like, how are you going to tell an unhoused individual
Yeah.
that's pregnant to pay out of pocket? So like where most mothers and families, they have like, oh yeah, our baby's, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 13 weeks, 20 weeks. I didn't
Mm-hmm.
have that experience.
Right.
I had one ultrasound when my child was 8 weeks pregnant, or when she was 8 weeks gestational. And then the last ultrasound that I had, I ended up going to a hospital in downtown Atlanta
Mm-hmm.
for what they call presumptive Medicaid, which is essentially like they presume that because you're facing all of these financial challenges that you need this insurance, and they
Yeah.
kind of just cover it on the back end. It's like an IOU.
Okay. Yeah.
And I played into the system. I was like, oh yeah, I want to give birth at this hospital, knowing I didn't want to give birth there. I
Yeah.
was like, I need my baby's picture. I need the 3D. I need the whole, can you tell me the gender of the baby? Like, I need the whole nine. I'm getting this experience
Yeah.
with or without y'all. Like,
Yeah.
so I would go and play their game, because I was literally like 4 weeks away from my due date. I was in the hospital like appointment after appointment after appointment.
Okay.
I remember one of my last appointments, they were asking me about, their guidelines, how I felt about it. Hey, in case of an emergency, like, we're not pro C-section, but we do have those, and this, that, and the third. And I'm like, oh no, I have a birth plan.
Mm-hmm.
I have a birth plan, and I want, to do X, Y, and Z in this particular way.
Yeah.
So then, you know, that um, anytime I had a question throughout my pregnancy where I felt like something was wrong, I had to go to the ER.
Okay.
So it was just like very daunting,
Mm-hmm.
very
Yeah.
daunting experience. And I remember um, in Southwest Atlanta, there was a hospital called Southern Regional.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a case where this woman and her partner went to this hospital. It's actually one of the few hospitals located on the southern part of Atlanta.
Okay.
So, like East Point, Fayetteville, College Park, these are all cities that would have to report to this hospital because there's not many options um,
Okay.
south of Atlanta in the inner city.
Mm.
So, this woman and her partner went to the hospital. She had already been laboring and she felt like she wasn't making any progress.
Mm-hmm.
Um, at the time, she requested a C section. They denied it to her.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, by the time they did the C-section. She had been laboring for so long. The baby's head, like the shoulder got stuck in the birth canal. So they
Mm.
had to like perform a C-section and like decapitate the baby's head and then like remove the rest of the baby's body like
Oh my
through.
gosh.
Yeah, so hearing that, I was like, oh yeah, there's no way.
That's
There's no way.
horrifying.
There's no way. Like everything kept pointing to you're going to birth like at home. I don't know who's
Mm-hmm.
home. I don't know what home. I
Yeah.
don't know if you have to book an Airbnb in the middle of a forest or something. Like you're doing this. And like it just kept pointing to that. All the signs kept pointing to that. And yeah, so all of these things, all of these factors into play. And I just said, you know what? I wanted to do a birthing center to be safe, but I was a first time pregnancy, so they don't do first births. And I was also overweight, so they considered my obesity as a high risk.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah.
Even though I'm like, if you check my blood work, I'm healthy.
Mm-hmm.
um, so then yeah, we had issues with her birthing location. There are people who agreed to it. You okay? You okay?
Just gets getting
Yeah.
those extra coughs out.
um, there are people who agreed to hosting me for my birth,
Yeah.
and as I was getting closer and closer and closer, they just fell off.
Mm.
And this happened multiple times. So
Okay.
it was extremely frustrating for me and my birth team
Yeah.
because I had to pivot. Like, I had like 20 different birth plans. If we have this address, this is the hospital that we're going to. And then I listed alternative hospitals in the event that that's not available. Like
Right.
I was like down to the detail.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, so
Who was on your birth team at this point?
at this point, there was an elder in the community who has a wellness center. We had a change of I guess we just had different viewpoints on certain things, and that caused me to like pivot. And this is like days within I'm supposed to give birth. Like
Mm.
my due date is next week, and I'm like, oh yeah, we're not giving it at this wellness center. We have to pivot.
Yeah.
Um, I had my child's godfather, I had my labor and delivery doula, and my postpartum doula, and
Okay.
my mother.
Okay.
My mother then said, like, because she lives in Florida, and at the time I was living in Atlanta, she said she can't come.
Mm.
So we had to pivot that. Then, I'm changing locations from the wellness center
Mm-hmm.
elsewhere. And that was very difficult for the birth team. We were all really like spread out. So we lived in
Okay.
different parts of the metropolitan Atlanta area,
Yeah.
some closer than others. Um, and then, yeah, so it kind of just boiled down to my labor and delivery doula. She reached out to an old roommate of hers,
Mm-hmm.
and um, she agreed on housing me for the birth.
Okay.
So I get to the my labor and delivery doula's old roommate's place. I meet up with her old roommate. She's very welcoming, super kind. She has two children of her own, which
Mm.
she birthed at home as well. And she
Okay.
had a midwife for both of them. So she was very open and supportive
Yeah.
of that journey. She's like, I've done it, I know how this goes. Like, thank you
Mm-hmm.
for trusting me, you know. And at this point, I was really just kind of like, even though my baby wasn't here yet, she was like the center of all of my choices.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I kept thinking, what environment does she want to be welcomed into?
Yeah.
um, Energetically, the people present. And I kept trusting that she would provide the proper space, that she would
Mm-hmm.
guide me to the right people.
Yeah.
Uh, so I got to uh, my doula's. Um, roommate's place like days within my due date.
Okay.
Yeah, like my due date was probably like 5 days away.
Mm.
That kind of close. So we got very acclimated extremely quickly.
Mm-hmm.
She was extremely supportive and very, very kind. Um, so I remember finding out that my doula didn't necessarily agree with my decision to
Oh.
relocate from the wellness center to her
Oh.
old roommate's place. But she, masked it as if she was supportive of my
Right.
decision.
Yeah.
So when I found this out, I was extremely upset because I felt very betrayed. Like,
Mm-hmm.
why would you why would you say that you're supporting me and you don't trust, my decision? Like,
And why
why
would you
would
offer up your friend then?
I mean, her friend had agreed like earlier
Oh,
on
okay. Earlier on. Okay.
in the
Okay.
experience. So it's not
Okay.
like, but because I had found something else that seemed more concrete, it like checked all the
Mm.
boxes. It's a wellness center, it's owned by a Black woman,
Right. Right.
it's
Right.
a
Okay.
beautiful cause, it's super spacious, it just seemed like
Mm-hmm.
that was going to be the place.
Okay. I
But
see.
when we got to the wellness center, me and this elder, you know, I laid all of the details out up front.
Yeah.
So I said, hey, I can't afford a midwife.
Mm.
I don't have a birthing pool. um, all the things that I could possibly think of. I was like, I don't have this, I don't have that.
Yeah.
And she okayed it.
Yeah.
The elder agreed to it, but when we actually got into the space and we paid for the space, she completely shifted. It
Mm.
was like fear, just fear mongering. Like,
Okay.
you don't have a birthing pool. There's no midwife, so there's no medical person. And I'm like, I'm days away from my due date.
Yeah.
Why are you stressing me out when I was forward about all of these details.
Mm-hmm.
So in my eyes, it just wasn't rectifiable.
Yeah.
She was having some funding issues with the space, so she was looking to rent the space out to different events to make more money. And
Okay.
they had an entire music fest event thing. I'm literally like trying to sleep, and these people are out here like basically it's a party, it's a
Oh
music,
my gosh.
and I'm just like, this is not what I signed up for. I
Yeah.
have to leave. Like,
Oh, totally.
please give me a partial refund. We'll part our way.
Yeah.
It's this isn't going to work.
Oh, totally
You know?
no. That just sounds awful.
Yeah. So then from that, I get to my doula's roommate's place. Picking back where we left off, so I transitioned into my doula's old roommate's space, and she was so supportive. She had already done two natural births with a midwife,
Mm.
so she kind of was just like, yeah, I'm opening my space. I'm welcoming this individual and just her
Mm.
baby and her journey. um,
Mm-hmm.
so I remember, and this is kind of funny because this is where Kiana comes back into the picture. She had messaged me a like via text like 2 days prior
Mm-hmm.
to a video on how to naturally induce labor with these
Okay.
different positions. So
Okay.
I woke up on my due date and I was like, okay, let's check this video out. And I was watching the video. I remember it was roughly around 5. So I started doing the exercise prompts, and I did the exercise for about like 15 to 20 minutes, like for each pose.
Mm.
So then, throughout that experience, I roughly started to feel, I thought they were Braxton Hicks, but it wasn't because it just kept coming back. It was pretty consistent. And I
Right.
was like, are these contractions? I was like, did I naturally induce my labor with these different yoga poses? Like, what? So,
Mm.
um, you are so active, mama. You are so active.
Look at you.
Yeah. So, I did these exercises and now I'm aware that like, oh, this is not Braxton Hicks. We are experiencing contractions. And I decided to wake up my doula and address her about how I felt betrayed, being that I wasn't fully supported into this transition. Because
Mhm.
now I'm like, oh yeah, I'm in labor
Yeah.
and we have to hash this out before this baby gets here. Because
Yes.
I don't feel comfortable, you
Yeah.
know, laboring and just having these unaddressed underlining feelings.
Totally.
So um we talked about it and we got to a mutual understanding. So, we kind of just came to the conclusion where she felt like those were her personal feelings and she was really trying to support me in like her role as a doula. And
Okay.
I should preface like me and my um labor and delivery doula, we didn't have your traditional doula client relationship because we had a pre-existing um we had a pre-existing connection already. So we weren't
Okay.
friends, but we knew each other in the community. We
Mm.
see each other around. So it just off rip, it was never like this is my client. It became this is my client. This is my friend. Yes. Is that how you remember it? Yeah. Yeah. Is that how you remember it? Oh, you're gonna be so exciting for this interview. They're gonna love you, girl.
Yeah.
They're gonna love you. You're the selling point, honey. So we didn't have like the traditional relationship that a typical client and doula would have.
Okay.
And that just bled into everything. So I
Okay.
think like providing the proper framework will kind of just help um, alleviate any type of bias or implicit bias, because I definitely want to speak on it from like a neutral space.
Mhm.
Um, I've forgiven her, and I think that um, whether or not there's an opportunity to reconnect and talk about it and hash it out, I kind of just leave that up to the Most High.
Right.
Um, but yeah, I don't want anyone thinking like, oh my gosh, that was so unprofessional. And, because it's like, it just wasn't, we weren't like the traditional dynamic to begin with.
Right, right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. But it's
So,
good that you brought up that conversation. Like you said, you're about to go into your birth and you don't want this energy to be shrouding the rest of your birth. So then she said that it was her own personal feelings. So how did you take that and like what was the final result?
yeah. So, we got into a mutual agreement. There was an understanding. Um, Unfortunately, that I wish it would have just like completely been resolved then, but it kind of just like was a snowball effect. So
Mm.
even though yes, we can't have you crying on the interview. You're gonna lose your reputation of being a peaceful baby. I'm gonna tell these people that you're a peaceful baby and you're cutting up. They're not gonna believe me. You are the spokes baby for home births. Yeah,
Yeah, there you
yeah,
go.
yeah, yeah. So we decided to go to the store to prep. So we were buying like postpartum meals. I wasn't super hungry. I had tried eating a banana, but I just wasn't like really
Mm,
like there. I had no appetite.
yeah.
Um, I remember we got to Walmart and my belly's dropped, it's big, people are looking at me like, oh my gosh, congrats, when are you due? And I'm like, today. Oh my god, we're in the middle of Walmart. They're like, please don't have this baby here. I'm like, y'all, that's not how laboring works.
Yeah.
Like, please keep your fear to yourself.
Hmm.
you know yes, mama, what's the matter here? Let's see. Where's your phone? Let's get you your phone. Yeah. Here. Wait, I can't turn it on because I don't want it making noise. But here's your phone. Call your
Mhm.
peoples. Call Ethereal. Be like, Kiana. Say hello. Oh, you want to eat the phone? Um, we're at Walmart and she offers me some of her juice. And I should also mention a really big key factor. Um, on a scale of 1 to 10, my contractions are at a 3. So
Okay.
I can manage. They're
Yeah.
manageable. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, just breathe.
Yeah.
Just breathe. Um, so uh-oh. You so funny,
Uh-oh.
girl. You just want all the attention. You just want all the attention. Yeah. Um, so my contractions are at a 3. She offers me some of her juice. And I asked her, oh, like, what's in it? She said, beets, ginger, and turmeric. I said, okay, that's fine. I completely forgot. It just went over my head. That spicy foods induce labor.
Mm.
So, like, things like ginger, anything spicy, curry, you know, it's gonna expedite your experience. So, um, immediately after I took a sip, and it was only a sip, my contractions went from a 3 to a 5. I was like,
Mm.
oh no. So we had to get the little carts that people drive.
Yeah.
Um and so I'm in the car, I'm driving, and we got back to the house. So we left around noon and we were back home around 2 p.m. So then um the contractions are at a steady 5. Um I remember it was just getting more and more intensified. So
Mm.
my birth team was not present because my labor and delivery doula's old roommate space wasn't in the plans. Everyone was set in stone for the
Mhm.
wellness center, so they were all prepared to go there. We had
Right.
to pivot real last minute, and oh no, I hope she's got this new little toy. It's like a piano thing,
Mm.
and I'm like, please don't start pressing all these buttons.
Okay.
Like, please don't do that. Like, pretty please. So my doula is left to do everything.
Mm.
And I should also mention, I didn't have her as a doula throughout my entire pregnancy.
Okay.
I only had her as a doula basically like 6 weeks away from my due date.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's also a really big key factor to put things in perspective.
Right.
Um, and yeah, so um, my doula was left to do everything. We get back to the house, it's around 2, and
Mhm.
she's like putting up things. I'm telling her, can you play some music? She's playing some music, but it's not the music that I picked out. I had a whole playlist. I'm like,
Right. Yeah.
but I had to be mindful, like, girl, she's doing everything by herself. Like,
Mhm.
she's doing the best that she can. So I was like, can you please like play my playlist, please? Like, I did not pick this song, even though it's a great song.
Yeah.
It's just not giving me the energy that I need. I was very intentional with my
Yeah.
playlist. Because I think just the way that I had it set up was just music,
Mm.
like songs that would like kind of just put me in the proper headspace. So I had
Totally.
songs that, where some people may use this song to describe a lover, I'm using it to describe my baby that's coming.
Yeah.
Like it
Yeah.
was just empowering songs because it was kind of like structured in the sense of the laboring process. I'm like, okay,
Mm.
I'm gonna be good at the beginning because
Mhm.
I have a high pain tolerance. I come from a lineage of strong Caribbean, Indigenous, Black, and Brown women,
Yeah.
and I'm like, I can do this. Like, this is in my DNA.
Yeah.
And then I had some songs to like, hey, when when you're about to give out, here's some worship songs to help,
Yeah.
you know, to help. Cause it's like, okay, you can and you are strong. However, you
Mhm.
need supernatural reinforcements.
Yeah, yeah.
So the songs that you were playing, they were cool, but it just was not what I picked
Mhm.
out. So I was like, can you please just,
Mhm.
I emailed you the playlist. Can you please open it up and play the
Yeah.
songs that I picked out? So then she changed it to the songs that I had picked out. And then, as the like the laboring process is intensifying, she's
Mhm.
putting up the groceries, she's doing pain management massages with my back, and it's like helping alleviate the pelvic bone. So I'm like
Mm.
feeling a little better, but the moment she leaves, it just it comes again, because they're
Mm.
waves, contractions and
Mhm.
waves. And I just remember just laboring on the couch, attempting the exercises in the video that Kiana had sent me. And the pain was just increasing. At this
Mm.
point, I was throwing punches at the air. I was like,
Mm. Okay.
where's my baby's godfather with the djembe? Because I wanted him to play the drums.
Okay,
I was
yeah.
like, I need some support.
Yeah.
Because this is a lot of energy. This is a lot of energy.
Mhm.
Um, I was like, this pain is a lot of energy. And I was just calling on everybody. I was thanking my ancestors, the Most High, my family members, the
Mhm.
women that I represent. And slowly but surely, the pain just became more and more intolerable.
Mm.
The affirmations were sort of carrying me through like the beginning of the process, but
Yeah.
at this point, I just remember like, mind over matter, pain is temporary, nothing compares to the joy of me holding my baby. I
Yeah.
remember saying these things, and there was a time where it was kind of like helping me shift the focus, because
Mhm.
if you focus on the pain, then the contractions are going to be that much more painful.
Mhm.
You have to kind of like surrender and submit to it.
Mhm.
Some people call it surges because they don't even want pain associated with their laboring process.
Mhm.
Which I'm, now that I'm like on this side of motherhood, I kind of envy those people. I'm like, dang, I wish I would have did more research about like static birth
Yeah.
experiences, because I'm like, what? There was nothing ecstatic about that. There was nothing easy about it. It was very much so like
Yeah.
super painful.
Okay.
So I remember having to pee, and um that's when I called on my doula and was like, hey, I have to pee really bad, but I don't think I have the strength to get to the bathroom.
Okay.
So she kind of like was like, don't worry, just take your time. Um, as soon as you can get up, I'll help you.
Mm.
So I remember, peeing, and then as I sat on the toilet, it felt like I had to take the world's largest poop. And I
Yeah.
had already had bowel movements from my food yesterday, like
Yeah.
prior. So I was like, there's no way that this is bowel movement. Like,
Mhm.
there's no way. But I was like, why does it feel like this? And I shared my thoughts with my doula, and she didn't inform me, but she knew what was going on. She's like, oh, if she has to poop, then like we're there. We're
Mm.
super close now.
Mm.
So I remember she asking me if I was prepared for her to run the bath water, and I was like, please. So she ran the bath water. We put the herbs in the tub.
Mm.
So I did lavender, jasmine flower, calendula, mugwort, lotus
Mm.
leaf, um, rose petals,
Oh,
and a
wow.
hint of Florida water.
Mm.
Yeah. So the water was like warm enough for me to relax, but like cool enough for it not to be like,
Mhm.
to my body, like a
Yeah.
shock or anything. So as I got into the water, like immediately, give me just a um so as I got into the water, I remember, the contractions became shortly more intense.
Mm.
So like around the time that I felt like I needed to use the bathroom, when we got back to the house, it was like a 5, but at that point it was about a 7. When I
Okay.
got into the water, I'm at like a 8, 9. I'm like,
Okay.
"Ooh, this is like, I'm ready.
Yeah.
I am ready." So, um, this is the point where I'm in the water and like the affirmations aren't working. The
Okay.
breath work isn't working.
Mm-hmm.
The mantras aren't getting me anywhere.
Yeah.
And I think that this is the part of the laboring process where I really experienced like an ego death.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
think that's like the moment, I think in the laboring process where like the moment of birth where the mother feels like there's absolutely nothing that
Mm-hmm.
I can do.
Mm-hmm.
Like my range of scope this is beyond. It's
Mm-hmm.
beyond my control. I've done everything that I possibly could do. Like this is it.
Yeah.
I think that point was just where the the supernatural part of birthing takes over.
Yeah.
So I remember, as as great as my doula was, and as helpful as she was, even in like her errors and stuff, like in her shortcomings, she still did the best that she could. I
Mm-hmm.
remember not really necessarily needing her for like verbal affirmation in that process
Yeah.
because I had that in my mind. I was like mentally prepared to do it.
Yeah.
But it was in this particular moment where I remember looking in her eyes and I was
Mm-hmm.
just like, I can't do this.
Mm.
I can't do this.
Yeah.
I can't do this. And it was then, I always tear up at this part of the story, but it was then where she like looked into the water and she looked at my step. She's like, your baby's head is crowning. That was the mucus plug. You're doing this. You need
Oh.
to push with the contractions. Your baby's coming. Like,
Oh.
you know,
Yeah.
so I remember pushing. I pushed her out in 3 pushes. She was so
Wow.
easy. But I remember screaming like, and it was like, I feel like it was like an ancestral scream. Like it was like
Mm.
all the pain of like bearing motherhood, of like women and like the matriarchal people in like my family,
Mm-hmm.
lineage. I think it was just a cry for them to release that.
Yeah.
'Cause I think I was kind of like, I think I was reacclimating
Mm-hmm.
the the focus, so it was more so um shifting. My baby is so talkative. It was more so shifting like, oh, this we are not operating in patriarchy anymore.
Mm-hmm.
We're not tolerating any form of abuse.
Mm-hmm.
We're not, subjugating ourselves to abuse. We're not exploiting ourselves. We're not accepting like subpar behavior and
Yeah.
mediocrity and calling it love.
Yeah.
We're not, you know, we're not overcompensating for people who just aren't doing what they're supposed to be doing. So I just was like, I feel like that part was just shedding all of that
Yeah.
and taking ownership of like my bloodline and
Mm-hmm.
moving forward what it's going to represent
Yeah.
and what are we carrying and what are we passing down and what traditions are we honoring, um,
Mm-hmm.
and just like decolonizing like birthing experiences.
Yeah.
Giving birth is not a medical emergency, it is a natural
Totally.
occurrence of life. um,
Totally.
and I think like spiritually that was the part of me that had to surrender and like my ego died. So as
Mm.
I'm pushing and
Wow.
like screaming all of these, I'm like, ah, because it was so painful. I've never experienced a pain like that in my life.
Mm.
It was like, ah, she came out in 3 pushes. I caught her and I remember just crying in relief,
Mm.
like, you're here. And when she
Mm-hmm.
came, she didn't cry immediately.
Yeah.
She was like very peaceful. She opened her eyes and then even her cry was just very like soothing, like, "Yay!"
Mm-hmm.
Just very, mellow. And yeah, so um My daughter was born September 28th of
Okay.
2023.
Yeah.
She was born a week after the 10-year anniversary of my father's transition.
Oh,
So, yeah,
wow.
I named her after my late father.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
beautiful.
So, my late father's name was Raphael. My daughter's named Rafaela.
Oh, I
Um,
love that.
I think the archangel, the meaning of it means God has healed.
Yeah.
And depending on like what kind of like spiritual practices you have,
Mm,
it also means the goddess that cures all ills.
mm,
And in Italian, it means wise protector.
mm,
She has two middle names. Um, Her first middle name is Jamia. Um, it means healer in Hebrew, and in East Africa, in the Swahili language, it means a beautiful flower or a gift
mm.
from God.
Oh,
And then her second middle name is Obadiah, and it means servant of the Most High in
wow.
Hebrew. So
Wow.
I when I call her, and I like call her name, or when I call out to her, it's
Mm-hmm.
literally like a prophecy.
Yeah.
I'm constantly reminded that I'm provided for, that I'm taken care of, and that I'm exactly where I need to be. Um,
Mm,
that I'm in alignment, and I think that even though her name is super long, I want her to be able to know that although her conception for me wasn't under the proper circumstances or ideal in my mind of what I thought I wanted for my life.
mm-hmm.
Um, I want her to know that she was loved from conception to
Yeah.
ascension. So when I'm good and
Mm,
gone, she'll know that my name has meaning and that it
mm-hmm.
has purpose and that I'm living in purpose, on
Mm.
purpose with purpose.
Oh.
Um, so uh, yeah, I became a doula maybe like a month postpartum.
Oh, wow, that was
Yeah.
quick. Can I
Yeah.
just ask you before you go into that though, after she had emerged into the world, how long was it for her placenta to come afterwards?
Yeah. So, um, her placenta, I was in the bathtub. I felt like I was gonna die.
Okay.
Um, my doula, when she was crowning, my doula offered to get like some oils like as lubricant. And I was just like, no, please don't leave me. So I felt the ring of fire and everything. The placenta was actually a lot more difficult to birth than
Okay.
my the actual, than her.
Mm,
No one prepared me for like the placenta being the second birth. Nobody prepared
okay.
me. In hospital settings, they usually grab forceps and they literally yank it out your body. So it's not something that you think of. You just
Mm-hmm.
know like, oh, this is super painful. And
Yeah.
it's like you're not even aware of what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
So her placenta came about 15 minutes after she was born.
Okay.
I think like my body naturally just contracted and it just came
Yeah.
right out.
Okay. Okay. Wow.
Yeah. And then I laid in the bathtub for a while. Our mutual friend, like the doula and I's mutual friend, came, brought over the coconut water, and then they were able to take, we call her Ella for short. So they were able to take Ella with her placenta still attached into a separate room while I got like my life together in the bathtub.
Right.
And
Yeah.
the
Yeah. Yeah.
coconut water, it literally felt like I was revitalized.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Like it brought me back to life. Because
Mm-hmm.
I think, you know how like your foot feels when it's asleep and it's all tingly?
Yeah.
That's how my whole body felt after I gave birth. I think I was
Okay.
like in a shock. Like I was like,
Yeah.
oh. And I hadn't eaten much, so it's not like I
Mm-hmm.
had any fuel.
Yeah.
Um, she was born shortly after 6:30
Okay.
p.m.
Mm.
So it was really like a 13-hour laboring
Oh,
process.
wow. Okay.
Yeah. And throughout it, I was still doing lots of movement and stuff. So I
Yeah.
think that's kind of what you got so much to say. I think that's kind of what allowed um, the experience to be as smooth as it was.
Yeah.
Because I
Yeah.
wasn't
Okay.
confined to a hospital bed.
Yeah.
I
Totally.
wasn't like, oh, we're birthing, like
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Absolutely. Wow. Yeah. And like 13 hours for a first time mom is, in the grand scheme of things, that's a pretty quick birth process that you've gone through. So, and the intensity and the power of what you said that you felt as you were going through, and like having it be, yeah, it was, painful, and you could see the pain scale going up, is is like, to have that awareness and still just do it, because you could have been like, nope, this is a pain at an 8, like, I want to go to the hospital now, take me there, let's just do something to numb it out and then just birth the baby. But I love that you didn't do that and you listened to your body. You said you called on your ancestors. And then when you just had that big primal scream in there, which just was like clearing that ancestral line of all of this pain and trauma and hurt. I've heard that from many women before as well, where they've stated they've had this scream that like wasn't from them, but from the depths of their body, from other women in their line. And it's like, yeah, that's the death that happens in birth that women have to go through to be, made into mother, or one version of mothering to the next version. So I'm just like, wow, that's so beautiful that that's what you got to experience, and you did it even though everything else around your birth, planning the birth, was super chaotic. Like, it all came together at literally the last moment for you to birth in this bathtub and bring your baby forth. So wow.
Yeah, and it's funny because when after I had birthed the placenta and I was like laying there,
Mm.
I was like, should I go to the hospital? And my doula was like, it's up to you. And I was like, well, in order for me to go to the hospital, I have to get up, right? She was like, yeah. I was like, nah, I'm gonna stay here. I'm gonna stay here. So I didn't even I didn't even go to get checked up afterwards or anything. I was just like,
Yeah.
no, I'm trusting that, I'm being held by the community,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
Um, and I think that it was just I wouldn't have changed it. I wouldn't have
Mm.
gotten it any other way.
Yeah.
Um, she said her first words, I want to say when she was 6 months.
Wow.
Yeah. She said
Okay.
mama, then she said
Oh.
dada, then she said
Oh.
mama, mama, mama. And even now, she's 13 months now. We celebrated her year birthday. Um, she is so expressive.
Mm.
Like she can say happy birthday.
Oh, wow.
She can say hey, hi, bye,
Yeah.
um, hello,
Mm.
uh-oh.
There she goes.
Yeah. She's so expressive. And I'm constantly asked by others, like, oh my goodness, how old is your baby? I'm like, oh, she's just 1. Oh my goodness, she's so talkative. I'm like, yeah.
Oh,
You're driving the point home, girl. Thank you.
yeah, she
Oh, she
is.
says thank you too.
Oh.
Yeah, she'll say thank you. And I have to, give, shout out to Gracie's Corner. Um, I think it's a YouTube show with like a brown little girl and her family,
Okay.
and they sing like all these nursery rhymes and stuff. And um, we play it for her uh,
Mhm.
all the time, really. So I
Okay.
think that's how she's learned
Yeah,
um,
yeah.
in her vocabulary. I've always spoken to her like I speak to her now. That's how I've always talked to her.
Mhm.
We also did a delayed cord clamping.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah, so we didn't cut her godfather cut her umbilical cord because I didn't have the heart to do it.
Okay,
I was
yeah.
like, no, I don't want to do it. I don't want. I know it's not going to hurt her, but I don't want to do it. So
Mm.
he cut her umbilical cord, and then
How long after?
um, around 11:30, so it was well over five
Oh,
hours.
wow, yeah, okay.
Yeah. So if the cord was wide, it was clear.
Mm.
You know, Kiana's ironically, her grandparents have like my placenta in their freezer
Oh.
somewhere. Yeah, because I was still unhoused afterwards. So
Right,
I
okay.
wanted to do a burial, but I didn't have anything like any place where I would, felt comfortable bearing it, that I would have
Mm,
access to.
right.
So, yeah, it's just frozen.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. Oh, wow. Your story is just so, like, even though there's lots of parts, moving parts to it, it's just so beautiful because in all of that, like I said, you could have just said, well, I'm just going to birth in the hospital, or, you could have made that different choice, but you still just led and listened to yourself, listened to your baby, listened to spirit, and were guided. And you had this really beautiful birth experience, and this was your first time doing it, whereas so many first time mothers are just so fear mongered into, no, 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 if it's not perfect, like you have to go to the hospital. No, 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 if you don't have this. And it's really, it's just birth, and it can be that simple. And you can have all things come together at the last minute and not have all the bells and whistles and still just have a very easeful, beautiful birthing experience. And your baby will always guide you to where you need to go, what needs to happen for them to come into the world. So, yeah, I'm so grateful that you've shared this story. And yeah, and it's like, it's just such a gift. And yeah, and I love to hear you, Rafaela, in the background, sharing your
She is
parts too.
blushing. She's like,
Oh,
yes, yes. And I was moved, to become a doula after my experience with my own labor and delivery doula. I
mm,
also I also had a postpartum doula as well.
right.
You got so much to say. That's your people's, huh? Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And shh, you gotta be quiet, mama. Shh. My postpartum doula. I feel like she's gonna do this. Yeah.
Awesome. So yeah, you're in a new space. You just had to move outside to get some fresh air. And yeah, like I was saying, I'd love to hear how you transition then from your birth into now actually doing your doula work.
Yeah. I felt called to birth work for quite some years then, at the time.
Mm.
I want to say maybe like 2020 is when I really was like, oh, I want to do that. It
Hmm.
was something that I was aware of. Um, Maybe like shortly after high school, like 2015,
Okay, yeah.
there was like an uproar of women just going back to like natural births.
Okay.
So I've always remembered, even as a child, like wanting to do a water birth, but I didn't have the words for it and I couldn't have any experiences to pull from. I really feel like that was like an ancestral call, like to remedy like whatever um, lingering, I guess, lingering work that, previous women weren't able to complete, or
Mm, right.
um, I just feel like it was something that was like unsettling about it. Like it's something that I need to do. No one that I know has personally done it, and I
Mm,
don't have the words for it.
right.
So once it started becoming more mainstream around like 2015, I was like, that's something that I want to do. That's an experience that I want to have.
Yeah.
That's something that I want to help other women with.
Yeah.
Um, being seeing it, like having friends that are well into birth work now, um,
Mm,
very important prominent people, and specifically in Florida, that are actually like moving up, you know um, the the political realm to kind
mm,
of get laws to support
yeah.
birth work.
Yeah.
So it's like reproductive justice on like a really big scale. I'm
Hmm.
super grateful to have people in my immediate network that I can like lean into for that level of support. Like they're really doing this.
Yeah.
And given that most of my 20s, um, I was undiagnosed and I wasn't getting the proper support that I needed, um, I didn't feel qualified to do
Okay.
birth work. Even though
Okay.
the desire was there, like the mother in me was like, I want to do this, but I'm like, girl, you're not qualified. You
Yeah.
you haven't earned your stripes, honey. Like this isn't something you just tackle on like, oh,
Mm,
check. I did it. This is a
Yeah.
calling. It's very, very spiritual. You
Mm-hmm.
know,
Yes.
there's no going around that. So I think that having my birth experience with my firstborn being um, as life changing as it has been, I think that's what
Mm.
initiated me properly,
Yeah.
like to earn my spiritual stripes to say, okay, this person's qualified to do.
Mm.
They can hold that amount of space.
Right.
you know um they're they have experience, firsthand experience, and they're also gifted in like being able to like empathize, um hold space for, cultivate a synergy that would
Mm.
welcome new life into. I
Right.
think that because I wasn't properly supported like with my mental health and stuff like that in the past,
Mm-hmm.
even though the desire for me to help facilitate that, I didn't have the tools.
Right. Yeah.
I had a lot of chaotic energy about me. What baby wants to be born? And
Yeah.
it's a
Yeah.
chaotic energy.
Yeah.
So I definitely feel like that kind of just solidified me.
Yeah.
So even though I don't have a bunch of births yet, it's not
Mm-hmm.
something that I uh I don't really like market it. It's definitely something that I've talked about and I think people are aware of.
Yeah.
Um, I've mentioned it. I've shared a couple posts regarding it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I kind of took my old Instagram page and remarketed it and rebranded it for it to be like my birthing page, so that
Mm.
expecting families and can come and see, like, I went through this journey. I had all of these things going on, but the only thing that was calming,
Mm-hmm.
the only thing that kept me centered was the fact that at the time, I hold this to be a personal belief of mine.
Yeah.
Women, expecting women specifically, um, expecting women are the closest thing to the Most High, because their baby is still in the ethers and they're literally walking amongst us earthside.
Yeah.
And that within of itself is just an experience. you
Mm-hmm.
know it's life changing. It's just eye opening. It helps kind of reframe being what it means to be a woman, right?
Mm-hmm.
It helps reframe, like, oh, we don't exist to just bear children and you know raise them, and like, no, we're a multifaceted
Mm-hmm.
being. There's so
Yeah.
many faces to us. There's so many spaces that we occupy. There's so many things that we represent. And although motherhood is just a one of the many faces we wear and one of the
Mm-hmm.
many roles that we take on, um,
Mm-hmm.
I think it's one of the greatest initiations like a woman could bear.
Yeah.
To be able to preserve a lineage, to
Yeah.
carry forth life, you know,
Mm-hmm.
to guide that life. Um, I take it very seriously. So
Yeah.
I think that transitioning into like birth work wasn't hard or difficult for me at all.
Yeah.
It wasn't until I actually finished the course where I was able to identify, like, oh, girl, we had the postpartum.
Mm.
Postpartum was really, really hard. Um,
Okay. Yeah.
Kiana was one of the staples in my community that helped just support me. Like, I did not leave the
Oh.
house
Yeah.
unless it was to go grocery shopping.
Okay.
Like, I I didn't go anywhere. I didn't do anything. I didn't go outside. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I was just confined to this room, me and my baby, and I'm having
Oh.
all these crazy ideas, like
Yeah.
thoughts, like, "Oh my gosh, is she breathing?" Like, I couldn't even sleep well, for the first couple of months. It was very hard. It was very,
Yeah.
very hard.
Yeah.
You know, like, my hormones were all out of whack and stuff. And Kiana really helped, in that process. She would come pick me up. We would go for walks with our babies,
Oh.
So she hosts a walk with children and
Yeah.
families. So she does that. She gathers all new moms and they go on like trails together.
Oh, I love
Um,
that.
yeah, so she's been really, really helpful in that process. And now, like, fast forward, I'm a year postpartum now,
Mm-hmm.
and I look back on the people that would check in because we were all pregnant, like
Mm-hmm.
within weeks of each other.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
we all had due dates like back to back to back to back.
Yeah.
Like it was a whole group of us.
Uh-huh.
I kid you not, besides the elders in my community and both of my doulas, my postpartum doula and my labor and delivery doula,
Mm-hmm.
all of the women who attended my baby shower, they were all pregnant.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, so it was like a
Wow.
whole thing. I'm like, I don't know what's the call, but we're all getting the call.
Yes.
We're
Yes.
bringing forth, these wonderful, wonderful, like
Mm-hmm.
beautiful, precious human beings that are just like cosmic,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. These
sincerely
babies.
and truly just cosmic. Like
Mm-hmm.
they're well above and ahead of their time.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
You
These
know,
babies are completely different and special. And yeah, they're all carrying something just so unique for, yeah. Wow. Oh, Jennifer, your stories is just so beautiful and your energy is so infectious. And yeah, just I love how you interact with your daughter when she was sitting with you in as you were speaking about her birth. And yeah, I'm really just grateful and so honored that I was able to have this connection with you and hear this story of you. And I'm very excited to see where you go on with and your journey into supporting other women in birth. It will be divinely created. You'll have that woman who reaches out to you and she'll just know that you're the one that she wants to have as witness, and that's really beautiful. It's so exciting for me to know that this is where you're going into after already experiencing such an amazing transition. You get to now offer that and be of witness to other women doing it. And yeah, you can tell you really feel it in your heart, right? In that space, how sacred birth is and the spiritual aspects, and how, yeah, you're just tapped into it. And I'm so excited. So thank you so much for everything that
thank
you've
you.
shared in this space.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm so
Yeah.
honored, to be able to just testify.
Mm-hmm.
I think like um, the just like the niche of women that I want to like target and help support um, are women facing like housing instability,
Mm-hmm.
and they still want to have a birth
Yeah.
that is empowering, that is honoring them.
Yeah.
Um, because it's really hard to go against the medical system and people looking at you crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Like my mom was just
Yeah.
like, ah, and even
Mm-hmm.
now she when I showed her the video, like she was like, wow, Jennifer, I know I was really hard on you and I couldn't understand it, but I'm just so happy that your baby's here and that she's healthy, you
Yeah.
know. Um, and having that, that reassurance on the back,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
Yeah.
Um, although like I'm definitely pursuing a couple different career routes,
Mm-hmm.
birth work will always be like my heart center,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
it's just going through so much and like not having emotional support up until
Mm-hmm.
like the very time that it was time for me to give birth, essentially,
Yeah.
right? But just having to navigate that, I think that it just helped solidify like within my spirit, like you are you're centered, like you got,
Mm-hmm.
and now I
Yeah.
can hold that same space for others,
Yeah.
because I know what it's like. I can empathize
Yeah.
um,
Totally.
with different situations and circumstances.
Yeah.
um, so yeah, I just want women and expecting families to know, like, if they're partnered, like, hey, you can do it.
Mm-hmm.
It's literally all a matter of like mind over matter. As long as in your mind you can see it, then it's
Mm-hmm.
done.
Yeah.
It's solidified. All you have to
Yeah.
do is bring forth that experience that you envision, like outwardly.
Absolutely.
And there will be things that are out of our control, but the entire purpose and goal to have in mind is like I may not be able to control every outcome, but I will control like
Mm-hmm.
my reaction, my response, my engagement with
Yes,
anything that arises, and I'll ensure to feel empowered in all of my choices. You know?
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And I just want to quickly touch on this before we leave that I love that you're saying the niche of which you want to support women is women who are experiencing housing instability, because a lot of the narrative around birthing free of the medical system, or the common term free birthing, is for very privileged white women that like they have their beautiful fancy house and they get their birth pool and they have all the lights and the affirmation cards and this and that and all of these things to make their birth possible. And it's like you don't need any of that shit. Okay, yes, obviously it is nice to have a stable place to be when you're birthing your baby. But if it comes together at the very last minute and you are very focused on making that happen, it can happen and it will happen. And you don't have to just default to the hospital. It can always be a backup. That's what a hospital is there for. It's a backup for if there is something that needs to if there's something that it needs to be used for, but it doesn't have to be that one option. And housing instability, yes, it is unstable and can make you feel unsafe and all of these things, but it is still possible, and things will all come together to make it so that you can have the birth that you want. So yeah, I just want to stress that that's such a beautiful place of work that you want to support when it comes together for you, even if it's not like your full-time job, but just for some of these women, or just speaking about your own experience can let other women see that it's like, oh, we don't have to have all of these bells and whistles and this and
Right.
that and have this, stable home that we're paying our $5,000 rent for. We're living in a condo in, the center of the city. It's like,
Yeah.
no, it doesn't have to be that way. It can be very simple and very beautiful. And if you listen to yourself and your baby and to spirit, everything will work out. And that's okay. And if you feel that it's not going to work out the way that you want it, you still have the option of the hospital to go to
Right.
in the end if you choose that. So, yeah, I just love that that's where you are. And that is the truth of your story, because it is going to be so beneficial and helpful and prove to be a way of guidance for women that are in this place. So excuse me. With that being said, if there are women that would love to speak to you a little bit deeper about your birth experience, the work that you're kind of going into, is there a way or a place that you would like to share information for women to reach out to you privately?
Absolutely. I'm on Instagram. My birthing page is called Emancipated Birth.
Mm,
And you can find me there. And then I also have like my personal page. It's Go Mama Jenn, so it's MAMAJENN,
perfect.
um, and then Geo at the front. So yeah, I'm definitely open to speaking to expecting women, families, people that are just curious about my journey and process.
Yes.
Um, I think that I'm a testament to spirit. You know, my child is a testament to spirit. That literally, the Most High in the universe will take care of
Hmm.
you.
Yeah,
And that
absolutely.
you're provided for.
Yeah.
You know, I think that um, even as she's like growing and you know developing and um, thriving, I literally always go back to the fact that she was born at home, and I
Mm.
think that is why she's as advanced as she is.
Yeah.
You know, um, I didn't introduce any medicines to her until she was about 6 months old, and even then, I only did like one variation of the shot.
Mm.
So if you look at like in the U.S., their their chart for like vaccinations is inhumane.
Hmm.
um,
Yeah.
you know, I just I couldn't do it. I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
no. It took me a while to do a birth certificate.
Hmm.
because I was kind of like on some super sovereign stuff,
Okay.
which
Yeah.
is a coin term now, right? But I
Yeah.
was really on some like, oh yeah, you know. But then I'm like, no, I need support, so the
Mm.
government has to be involved for now,
Yeah.
time being. But if and when she ever decides like, hey, I want to emancipate myself from the system, then I'll be there to support her as well.
Mm-hmm.
I just
Yeah.
didn't want to make that decision for her and deprive her of support and resources that she needs.
Right.
So I'm super flexible and open on whichever path any family wants to take.
Mm-hmm.
I think just like my experience and my journey kind of solidifies me.
Yep.
um,
Mm-hmm.
and it's really just a testament to spirit,
Yeah.
that all things work together for your good, uh,
Mm-hmm.
for those that are called and purposed, you
Yeah.
know and yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Beautiful words to end on. Thank you so much, Jennifer, for
Thank
speaking.
you, Karma. Thank you so much. I love this platform. I love the space that you're providing for women to share their stories and to just be able to witness one another,
Yeah.
because when we see it, we
Mm-hmm.
know, like, oh, wow, we can do it.
Yeah.
We have tangible evidence.
Yeah.
Sometimes, people are just paralyzed by fear
Yeah.
and they don't know what they can until they see it done, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
didn't have one Advil, one Tylenol, not one pain relief, nothing. I was literally surrounded by loving, nurturing women in my community,
Yeah.
and um, that is the Aboriginal way.
Mm-hmm.
People say
Yes,
it's
ma'am.
it's ancestral, and we're on this new age. The new age is the old age. Like,
Exactly. It is.
that is
Yeah.
how we did it. You know.
Yes. Absolutely. Thank you so much, women, for listening to this latest episode of the Free Birthing in Color movement. If you want to continue supporting this movement and all that comes with it, please give a 5-star rating and a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Like the videos on YouTube and share this episode with some of your friends. As reciprocity for the work that I'm doing and the content that I'm creating, it only takes 2 minutes to show your support through a 5-star rating, a small written review, and a share. If you want to give a monetary donation to help with the back end costs of keeping everything that is happening within this movement going, you can send your donations through PayPal via the link in the show notes. And again, as reciprocity for the work that I'm doing and creating, I'm so grateful when those donations come through. All information can be found within the show notes below. I'll see you in the next episode.